Not believe this marks the 20th anniversary of Elf on the Shelf. And I'm so excited to have Chanda Bell and Christa Pitts with us. How are you guys? And you know what? I have lived this Elf on the Shelf tradition. It has grown so much. And thanks again for stopping by.
Thank you for having us. It's a treat to be here.
Absolutely.
Great to be here. Thanks, Neil.
So as I was just saying, this marks the 20th anniversary of Elf on the Shelf tradition. How did this tradition start for you, and why do you think it has resonated with families around the world?
So this tradition began for us in our home when we were little kids. You know, my mom had an elf from her childhood, and she told us that elf was watching during the day and reporting to Santa at night. And before we woke up in the morning, that elf had flown back from the North Pole and landed in a different spot in our house. So growing up, it was the best part of our childhood, this hide and seek game, right? And then when I grew up, I wanted to start the tradition with my own family. And so my mom and I wrote the story, The Elf on the Shelf, based on our own family experience. And that was sort of the beginning. We couldn't get anybody to publish it. We had to, of course, work alongside Santa Claus to get the elves, right? And so that was the beginning of our journey and the company that we started, now known as the Lumistella Company.
Wow. Over the years, Elf on the Shelf has opened the door to an introduction of new character storylines, animated series, music, and more through Santaverse. How do you see this enchanted world continuing to evolve and connect with families year-round?
Yeah, the Santaverse allows us to do that. So many people have come to know us through the Elf on the Shelf. And it's really through our hero brand that we've been able to introduce other characters. You know, kids started calling us and writing us and asking us questions about, does my elf have pets? If so, where are they? What are they doing? What do they eat? What do they like? What's happening at the North Pole? All the questions each of us have had about Santa and what happens at the North Pole, which is a 24/7 environment, right? The North Pole is there and it's active all the time. And so we now are able to lean into characters and stories. So for instance, we have a brand new preschool show. It's called Scout Elf Squad. And it's a preschool program that's teaching amazing values. And it's got catchy music. And it also surrounds the basics, right? Your colors and your numbers and teamwork, the things that you want young children to hear and learn about. But that's just one piece of it. We also have our brand new book, The Rise of Nicholas the Noble. And that's a chapter book that's really the epic adventure of how Santa became Santa, that whole backstory. So it's through the Santaverse that we're able to lean into new characters like Nora, our magical Arctic fox that's actually going to be a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And it really does become an opportunity for us to tell all of the stories of the North Pole, not just the stories of the Elf on the Shelf.
Very interesting. And Chanda, can you tell me a little bit about the rise of Nicholas the Noble?
Sure. So my background is as a middle school teacher, so I love literature. It's why all of our products come with a book. So families can understand how to participate in our traditions together. But The Rise of Nicholas the Noble is our first novel. It's the backstory of Santa Claus. It's how he meets all the elves and how he becomes magical. And at its heart, it's a story about a boy and its dog. But it also has really great themes about, you know, stepping into sort of this calling. An obstacle is the way, right? And how he's got to rise to this idea of nobility and what does that mean and what does his journey look like? Themes about, you know, teamwork and friendship and belief. It's very much a fantasy adventure. So I would say in the vein of like a Chronicles of Narnia or a Harry Potter, I think anyone 9+ will absolutely love this book, The Rise of Nicholas the Noble, because I wrote the book that I would want to read. Of course, telling Santa's backstory. The Elf on the Shelf is there as the narrator as well to have that sort of the seamless storytelling.
I also hear there's a new animated preschool series you were talking about already in this conversation, Scout Elf Squad. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so Scout Elf Squad is our new preschool show. Much like everything we do working for Santa, we did it ourselves through Scout Elf Production, a production company that we started. And it's going to live on our YouTube channel, our official Elf on the Shelf YouTube channel. We are dropping a new episode every Monday, but it is teamwork and friendship and ridiculously catchy songs. And it's just really fun holiday entertainment. And I think it's something that really all ages will enjoy.
Yeah, and you have some incredible collaborations and partnerships this year. What are some of the ones you're excited to see come to life?
Well, if you are planning a trip this season, you can actually go to Beaches, where we have a partnership with Beaches, and you can rent the Elf on the Shelf suite. It's completely decked out with everything Christmas, everything Elf on the Shelf. And there are even butlers that make sure your elf is comfortable on its trip to and from the Caribbean. We've got a partnership with Basic Fun for Light Bright, because often the elf on the shelf will leave messages to their family. We also have a first of its kind luxury collaboration with Swarovski Crystal. They have a 20th anniversary edition elf on the shelf that's unlike anything you've ever seen before. The elf could not resist those Swarovski crystals, and it's completely bedazzled in all the best ways.
Wow, fantastic. Did you guys ever think when this started it would get this large? Seriously.
No, not ever. Really and truly, I mean, we had no idea. We had no idea what we were doing. We had no experience. What we knew is that we had a really special tradition, and that if people would just try it, they would love it. But it was just recently, I think roughly 6 years ago, where we started leaning into this whole idea of telling all the stories of Santa's Wonderful and all of the characters, and really listening to our fans and what they were wanting from us. But I think I would have been completely overwhelmed 20 years ago when we started this on my husband and I's credit card, and Krista selling her house, to start this. And I think sometimes the journey really is necessary in order to prepare you for that next step that you're about to take.
I interview lots of authors on my show. And so I guess this is the dream of every author, to see something grow to this brand area. And you guys were all in. That's the key thing, right? And who do you think, what made the rise such a rise? Just your fans? What would you say?
Absolutely. Our fans, I think first of all, it's acts and steps of faith. You've got to be willing to do the things that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So for us, I think it was steps of faith. I think it was being authentic. I think things have to happen that are also outside of your control, where God has shined his favor upon you. And, in our case, paparazzi picked up the book when Jennifer Garner was walking down the street with it in 2007. And, the Today Show did an article or a segment on it. And these were back early days, like in 2007. And so those were things that we would have never imagined or orchestrated. But those are things that are necessary stepping blocks. And now, starting our own production company and things like that to lean into continuing to grow the brand.
Well, you're a lifestyle brand now, from a book to a lifestyle brand. Go figure. And you're doing it right by doing all those things, because that's the key. So best place where people can find you? Where's the best? People can check you.
elfontheshelf.com if you want to find out more about our products and blogs and ideas. We also have more information available on the entire Santaverse. So Santaverse.com. And if you want to know more about our company that brings all of it to life, that's lumistella.com, LUMISTELLA.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Happy holidays, and thank you for coming.
Nice
You're welcome. Nice meeting you too.
Take care.
You're listening
Bye,
and
Neil.
watching The Neil Haley Show. Bye-bye. And we'll be back in just celebrity interviews live from the Grotto with Greg Hanna. Greg, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Excited to talk to our next guest. And before we jump right in, I got to ask him something real quick. Kel, I just have to ask you, during the holidays, does orange soda make a special appearance at your house?
I don't. Yeah, maybe. I'm really into fitness now, so it's more like orange electrolytes and stuff like that. Orange tea, things of that nature.
All right.
And, you know,
the kids drink more soda.
yeah. So what the reason we have Kel on is as we move through the holiday gifting season, many of us are thinking about ways to give back, especially Giving Tuesdays upon us. And so that's why Kel is joining us today. Greg, and what is your first question for Kel?
You know, what motivates you to give on Giving Tuesday, and why are you partnering with the Christian humanitarian agency World Vision?
Well, to answer that, you know, I'm a firm believer in, you know, putting a smile on people's faces and spreading love like confetti. You know, you just mentioned orange soda. I've been putting smiles on kids' faces for years, and World Vision does that. They care about families and they care about kids and faith. And, you know, I'm also a believer in Christ, and I love that. And then also, too, they're providing like clean water and animals and healthcare and emergency aid. And they've been doing this for over 75 years. And I got down with them. I want to say we started working together like during the pandemic. We started working together. We did some clean water things that we did for people. And it's just been a great partnership ever since. And I love what they're doing during the holidays with the gift catalog, where it's able for you to just not think about yourself on this holiday, but also how can you help others and how can you be a gift to others and be a blessing to others. It's really cool.
And Greg, that's the big thing about this holiday season, right, Greg, is giving.
Oh, man, absolutely. Especially Thanksgiving tomorrow. I mean, Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. But, you know, Kel, real quick, before Neil jumps on, you know, you mentioned the World Vision gift catalog. How does that work? Is it as simple as they get the catalog, and where do they get the catalog? And then whatever they buy, something happens in terms of, you know, giving some donations. How does it work exactly?
Well, you can go to worldvision.org. You can get your catalog there. And the World Vision gift catalog features over 100 life-saving gifts that grow and impact, like I mentioned earlier, clean water, emergency food, child sponsorship. And you could give a $100 donation, and that $100 donation can help a family buy a goat. And that goat will help that family because they can make money from it by selling the milk and for days and days to come. And so it's such a beautiful thing of the way that your gift can be such an impact. And you can also do it within the US. Like, I don't want any kid to go hungry. And so we have emergency kits that you can do to provide vegetables and fruits and good food for a kid right here in the US and overseas. So however you decide to do it, they have so many different options within this gift catalog that you can look at. And it's cool to look at it with your kids because you can look at it together and see how you want to bless people.
So, Kel, what did you learn from being part of this, helping this organization out? A lot of things you didn't know, did you, about World Vision?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I've always been one that loves working within my community and, you know, helping others. So what I learned was just to keep doing that. You know what I mean? Keep doing it. I feel like you meet everybody for a reason, and we're all family. You know what I mean? And I think it's so important that you wake up every morning with that intention to, you know, be the reason why someone smiles today, you know, and to find that joy in everything, you know, even though it might be some ups and downs that are going on, you can find the joy in everything. Yeah.
That's a really good point. You know, and you hit something that's kind of a raw nerve for me. You know, we're the wealthiest country in the world, and, you know, children shouldn't be going hungry. People shouldn't be homeless. It just frustrates me. And I love that you're doing this in such a way with World Vision that maybe a bite out of that can be taken out, at least during the holiday season and hopefully beyond, because giving isn't just around the holidays, right? It should be every day.
That's right. Yeah. World Vision, they continue to do this every day. And we all should continue to do it every day. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so important. And to be the change, you know what I mean? Because just like what you just spoke about, you know, we can all talk about it, but to actually be the change is important. Be a part of it.
Right. And I think that's the one thing is we sometimes sit back and let other people do it, Kel, instead of taking action ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a way to take that step forward right now. You know what I mean? By hearing this, you know, someone might be listening or watching, they're not hearing this by accident. So this is a great time to be a part of it. And they might even be feeling like, man, I would like to do something. I would like to do something. And this is the way to do it. That's why it's good to get to be a part of organizations like this.
It's amazing. What else, Kel, do you have in the works? You know, what's ahead for the new year for you?
Oh yeah, well, continuing to speak on helping others. I have a new show called Play It Forward, Game On, and it's a great show where we surprise under-resourced youth, and we go in there and we do major makeovers give them new equipment, we get them uniforms, and it's a great show because if you've watched me, on Nickelodeon and things like that, I get to go undercover, and I tell the kids they can't come into their gym for 48 hours. And then we go in there with Dick's Sporting Goods and our entire team and change everything around. So it's a real tearjerker. Like me, my youngest daughter always say it's happy tears watching the show because, you get to hear these beautiful stories of the communities and who we're helping. And it's just a great show. So yeah, get with your family and laugh. It airs every Wednesday at 5 p.m. So tomorrow you can check it out on Nickelodeon and on Paramount Plus. Yeah.
All right. So Greg has his final question. He asks all our celebrities, Kel. Be ready. It's a pretty deep one.
Okay.
Well, Kel, I love what you're doing. It's a real privilege to meet you and have this chance to chat. But tell me, Kel, what's the most important thing in life you feel you've ever learned?
Whoa, it got real deep. The most important thing in life that I feel like I ever learned? Oh, you know what? To renew your mind daily. And I've learned a lot of things, but I'm saying renew your mind daily because I think a lot of people get so caught up by something that didn't happen or a mistake they made or whatever it may be, and they dwell on it and they never try to change and nothing's going to change unless you start to change it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the thing about it is that so many people are just imprisoned by their mind of something that they went through and, not to get too, deep, but it hurts so bad that they don't want to be here anymore and all these different things. And I just feel like, just know that you are beautifully and wonderfully made by God and you were made for a purpose and to let things go and keep going. And you can do it. You know what I mean? I always say, spread love like confetti. And so it's important for us to let people know, hey, renew that mind daily. It's okay. Yesterday is gone. What you doing today? Let's get it.
All right. Kel, best place again for us to find info. Where can we go?
Worldvision.org is where you'll find all the information on World Vision. And then also at I am Kel Mitchell on all social media platforms. You can find me and check out the new show at Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus. And I love the backgrounds, guys.
All right. Appreciate it. Okay. That's really his grotto. That's really his wine grotto.
Really, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and celebrity interviews live from the grotto. Greg Hanna, guys. We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and give joy this holiday season. How the annual Red Kettle campaign assists families in need year round. Today we are joined by Commissioner Merle Heatwole. He's going to discuss the Salvation Army's commitment to providing service, love, and joy to those in need this Christmas and beyond. Commissioner, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Neil, for having me a part of the show this morning. And I just thank you for the opportunity just to share a little bit about what's happening with the Salvation Army's Christmas campaign and how we're serving people throughout the year. This past year, we served nearly 28 million people, provided 183 million meals and 10 million nights of shelter. So we are dedicated to providing assistance, not just at Christmas time, but throughout the year.
All right. Can you tell us about the Red Kettle campaign and why it's important, and especially this year?
Sure. The Red Kettle campaign has been going on for 135 years now, and it is our major fundraiser throughout the year and one of the most successful fundraisers of any organization around the world. And it's so important to us because it raises funds not just for the Christmas season, but for throughout the year. And we have over 24,000 Red Kettles out across the country and 1.5 million volunteers who assist us with that process. And people have that opportunity to make a donation right there at the Christmas Kettle.
How does the Salvation Army meet the needs of local communities beyond the holidays?
Well, beyond the holidays, we have a number of ways that we can provide assistance to families. We look at rental assistance, utility assistance, we look at sheltering, we look at after-school programs for young people, and so we just have a wide variety of services. And one of the special things that we try to do is to tailor those services to the needs of that local community.
Are there ways people can donate besides a physical Red Kettle location?
There are. That at the Red Kettle, of course, you can give cash, and also we now have the ability to do donations through a QR code at the Red Kettle itself. But for others that aren't going to be able to make it to that Red Kettle, they can go to our website at salvationarmyusa.org, and they can make a donation there. They can also find out about the services happening within their local community.
Let's talk about the history of the Red Kettle. How many years has this been going on for?
It's 135 years. It was started in 1891 in the San Francisco area, and it was an opportunity for them to raise funds for a Christmas dinner that they wanted to provide. And from that, it quickly caught on and spread across the country. And now, as I said earlier, we have over 24,000 locations where there will be Red Kettles out, giving people an opportunity to donate, giving the people an opportunity to give with joy in the sense of making a difference in the life of a person, but also experiencing the joy of giving and being a part of making a difference in someone else's life.
Commissioner Merle, tell me a little bit more about, your job. What do you do as commissioner?
Well, my job is to really share the stories of what's happening locally across the country, to be able to encourage others to get involved in their local community and to coordinate opportunities on a national basis. That there are some programs that we have that we can partner with organizations such as a Walmart, such as a Lilly Endowment, such as MACP, that we have those partnerships with a number of different companies, FedEx and UPS, just to provide services both in disaster times, but also throughout the year. And so my opportunity is to bring all of those resources together to really make sure that needs are taken care of throughout the country.
Yeah, and it's a busy job, right? How many years have you been doing it?
Well, I have been a Salvation Army officer for 41 years. I've only been in this current position since March of this year, but I've had the opportunity to serve around the world, both at our international headquarters in London and most recently in our Latin American North Territory based in Costa Rica, including 10 Latin American countries.
See, people wouldn't know that. They think it's just a US-based thing, right? This is surprising to me, the things I'm learning today.
Sure, that we are actually in 134 countries around the world. It started in London, England, and quickly spread throughout the world. And we continue to provide services all over the world in places where people need that particular assistance from the Salvation Army.
And volunteers are huge for you, right? Not just donations, but volunteers.
They are. They're definitely huge for us. And particularly during the Christmas season, we rely upon volunteers to help us with that Christmas Kettle effort. And if someone's interested in signing up for just a couple of hours to go out and ring a bell, they can go to registertoring.org. And that will give them the opportunity. If they can't remember that, just go to salvationarmyusa.org and they will have that opportunity to get involved in volunteering at their local community. And one of the wonderful things is that the funds raised stay within that local community so they can know that they're really making a difference in the lives of their neighbors.
And for people like the locations, where do you choose to put Red Kettles?
Well, we choose to put Red Kettles at major grocery stores, major department stores, Walmarts, any place where we are allowed to have that kettle out and that will have a good amount of traffic coming into that particular store. Kroger, Sam's Clubs, Bass Pro, we have a number of locations throughout the country, and each one of those locations provides an opportunity for people to get involved. And one of the great things about the Christmas Kettle campaign is that it's a wonderful way to teach your children to be generous and to give. It's always a wonderful sight to see that 4 or 5-year-old getting that dollar from their parent and sticking it in the red kettle, or just a few coins, whatever the case might be. But it really teaches them about the joy of being generous and giving to support others.
And your online donations, which you mentioned before, are getting as much now as the kettles are, or during the Christmas season?
Not quite as much, because people still like to give to that physical presence. And so, but we are seeing increases in the overall online donations. And of course, we welcome those online donations. And again, SalvationArmyUSA.org is where they can go to make that donation if they want to do it online.
Yeah, maybe having it make it feel like the experience when you're donating, right? A virtual red kettle. And
we actually do encourage people that they can even sign up to have their own virtual red kettle and do that, and to raise funds from their friends and family and their business associates. That's one of the new ways that we provide opportunities for people to do that as well.
And then that's by just going to give.salvationarmyusa.org. Then they can find out about any of the things, and they'll coordinate if you want to volunteer, if you want to help in the donation process. I think that's fantastic for businesses to have a little red kettle on their website to be able to donate. That would be a great opportunity for business owners to show their giving during this holiday season and putting this out there. Because I think that's the key thing, is everyone recognizes this brand, understands it. Everyone has seen the bell ringing. And how about you can do the same thing just by, talking to your employees and everyone to donate to the Salvation Army, especially when you talked about this year. There are a lot of people more in need than we've seen in a long time, and we got to go out and help them.
That's true. And again, SalvationArmyUSA.org is the place for them to go, and we'll be happy to get them set up to help us to raise those funds to make a difference in the lives of individuals within their local community. And even those online donations still stay local. They're based on where the donor is from, that's where their donation will be directed.
Okay. Well, thanks again. We appreciate it, sir. Thanks for coming by.
Well, thank you very much. We're glad that we had the opportunity to share a little bit today about what the Salvation Army is doing.
All right. Thank you, sir. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. You know what? My memories, the serious memories of Bum Phillips and the Houston Oilers, and my gosh, as a Steeler fan saying, oh, we are not going to the Astrodome. Because I was a little kid cheering and said, oh, no, we can't. We're going to lose in the Astrodome, even if we're the best team possible, and we'll never beat the Oilers. You always remembered the character, which was Bum Phillips. And we're going to talk today about Love Ya Bum with producer Vance Howard. Vance, thanks for stopping by. And my memories of the Houston Oilers, but I never liked them, trust me.
Well, that was a terrific rivalry back in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't think you could add a better rivalry. They came to play. They came to hurt each other. And boy, they had two terrific teams.
No doubt. So tell us how this all started with doing this documentary on Bum Phillips.
Well, it's kind of interesting. My production company, Lucky Number 8, we want to tell stories that inspire, uplift, and educate. And I think that we picked the right candidate in Bum Phillips and the Phillips family. I met Wade Phillips at a charity event about 2.5 years ago, and that's how this whole thing started. Wade's got a Super Bowl ring. He coached for the Oilers back then also. And it sort of grew from there. And as we started to map out the documentary, we wanted to take people back to a time of nostalgia back in the late 70s, took back to Houston, Texas. And, if you'll remember, and I'm sure you remember, Bum took over a losing team. They were a terrible team in Houston. And he created a really good franchise and a winning team that's still talked about today. And it created an energy and a phenomenon inside of Houston, a Love Ya Blue that's still talked about even in Houston, Texas now. of that energy and that excitement, that love of a football team, love of a community, and love of a coach.
And the Oilers just speak of it. The uniforms, the nostalgia of different things. And we talk about Earl Campbell. And I mean, that's one of the biggest memories I have of the Houston Oilers is Earl Campbell. And just basically just how loud the Astrodome was. But then Bum Phillips with that legendary hat, and just, he didn't look like one of those coaches that we're used to seeing on the other side. Think about Chuck Noll. Totally not a Chuck Noll.
And if you'll see in the interview, you know, I'm sure one of your favorites is Terry Bradshaw. He's interviewed inside Lothian Bum, and he talks so highly of Bum Phillips. And I think there's a lot that can be learned even in today's society of how Bum treated Terry and how Terry treated Bum. They were completely rivals. They were completely against one another, but they loved and respected one another, and they appreciated each other's talents and their ability to navigate the football inside the playing field. And I think we can learn a lot of that, not just in football, but in today's society also. I think there's a lot to be learned from Bum Phillips.
And what did the people think of Bum Phillips that Bum didn't understand that they didn't get him? Did they think he was arrogant, the teams that were against him? Did they think he was just what were the thoughts of people about Bum?
I've never heard anybody say he was arrogant. I've only heard the word genuine. You know, he was a genuine person. And you heard all those humorous statements that he would make. You know, he coached through humor. He didn't coach through yelling at players or belittling players. He coached through humor. He coached through education. He coached through inspiration. And I think that's really telling also. But you look at all these great players, you know, everything from, you know, he took Dan Pastorini and he made him a great quarterback. And he did that through mentoring him and helping him. You look at Billy White Shoes Johnson or Robert Brazil or what they have. I mean, all these great players that he inspired to be better than even maybe what they truly were.
Yeah, I got to talk to Billy White Shoes Johnson. I talked about those things. But that was the thing, that you looked at Houston, they were all swag, right? And Pittsburgh was just the Pittsburgh. And where do you think they got the swag from as well?
Well, I don't really know. It's sort of an interesting time. You know, you got a little bit of swagger in Texas. Everything's a little bit bigger. We know he had that big old hat that Bum would wear, those blue boots that he would wear, that big coat during winter times. He didn't look like your normal coach. And he had a flat top. He kept his hair in a flat top. So he didn't look like a normal coach. And I think that's kind of interesting too. And all the different players, we even interviewed a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, again, Terry Bradshaw was one that we interviewed. And it was kind of funny. I think you'll find this humorous when we showed up to Terry's home to interview him. He had a dirty shirt on, his hair was messed up, and his wife made him go change his shirt and comb his hair back. And if you've ever interviewed Terry, he is just a lot of fun. He is he
has a cookbook out, and I was hoping to get him on my show. Just didn't happen. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I was dealing with the publicist. You know how it goes, but I always hustle. So I never know at one point I'm going to get to talk to Terry.
Well, yeah, never. Hey, you know, another thing too that we don't talk about it a lot is, do you remember the game where Mike Renfro caught the football and it was a touchdown, and on the field the referee said it was not. So what the referee said stood, but when they played instant replay, you saw that clearly was. So today's football, look back at instant replay, and a lot of it has to do with that one play against the Houston Oilers and the Pittsburgh Steelers and that one catch. And I think that's a pretty interesting piece of history.
And what if that was different? What would history have shown?
Well, we don't know. The Oilers ended up winning anyway. But the point being is he did catch that football, and it was 7 points, and it was disheartening for the Houston fans. But the Oilers had a great team back then. Let's face it, they really did have a good team. And they played with a lot of gusto, and they played aggressive. And I think that's what made those football games between the Oilers and the Steelers even that much more dynamic and entertaining.
And Pittsburgh got even with them the next year.
They did.
So were you a huge Houston Oilers fan?
I was. I loved the Houston Oilers. I remember Love You Bum. I remember they would have a pancake breakfast because the Oilers used to train at Huntsville, Texas, where Sam Houston State University is housed. That's where they had their off season. And so all the kids would go out and watch them practice and train. And we got to meet a lot of the players, and they were always really professional and polite. They loved the kids. They loved their fans. It was a great time to be a Houston Oilers fan.
Absolutely. And I think that's the great time. Go figure. This just sounds so awesome of a documentary. And how, do you look at, when you're producing a documentary, looking at the best sports documentaries ever to try to put things together to make it really a piece of history, like some of the good documentaries that are out there?
Well, we do documentaries that inspire, uplift, and educate. We don't want to talk about documentaries about people that have done things that we don't want to really hear about. I like talking about people like Bum Phillips, who not only lived their life in a great way on the field, but lived their life in a great way off the field. You know, like our next documentary coming out is about the great cattle drives of the late 1800s with, Captain King and Goodnight and Loving, and, how that inspired a nation with the great cattle drives. So we want to talk about good things. And the Houston Oilers in the 70s and Bum Phillips, you can't get any better than that.
No doubt. What do you think, people that are Houston Texan fans now, why didn't they just go back to the Houston Oilers? That like the Browns did. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They moved them Tennessee Titans, so they're out of Houston now. Then a new franchise came in. But we even have Amy Adams. She came on the show and she was, so complimentary of Bum and the Oilers at that point in time. And to have the owner of the Titans on there is a great inspiration to the film, because it wasn't a hit piece against anything. It was a piece about a man who did a great thing, and he was a great coach and a great person. And that's the story that comes out. We've got over 30 plus interviews of some of the great players out there. Robert Brazil, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Terry Bradshaw, Jerry Jones. I mean, Peyton Manning's even in the film. So we've got some great interviews about great football personalities that are doing great work in this industry.
No doubt. And who does Bum Phillips remind you of today? Is there any coach that reminds you of Bum Phillips?
No.
No.
I think he was so unique, such a unique personality, the way he carried himself, the way he coached. I don't think there's a coach out there like that. Now, that's not to say there's not some great coaches, because there are. When we interviewed Wes Phillips, who has a Super Bowl ring. He's the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings now. He makes a comment about different coaches coach in different ways. And Bum Phillips coached in a way that was more of a personal, it was more of uplifting, it was more of inspirational than it was yelling at somebody or belittling somebody or running somebody down and trying to get the most out of them. And, Wes talks about that in his coaching career, how he likes to coach that way too. So I think it's sort of a football legacy with Wade and Wes. And Wes even talks about his son's 10 and is talking about becoming a coach. Could be a fourth generation.
Wow. Yeah. And how he was able to get everyone else in that coaching family and how good they are. That's got to be just, yeah. Because I think he was a teacher. That's where I'm listening to you. Seems like he was a great teacher of the game.
He was, and I think the world needs more of that.
I agree. Where can people check out Love You Bum?
It's going to go digital and streaming. It'll come out on November 25th, right before Thanksgiving, so you can watch it with your family and you'll be uplifted and inspired. And when Bum passes, it's going to bring a tear to your eye.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks again, Vance. I appreciate it. But where can we find information on all your films?
Well, we have Lucky Number 8 Productions, our production company. And so we're on IMDb. We're out there and we're, producing additional documentaries that hopefully people enjoy and be inspired by.
All right. Thanks, Vance. Appreciate it, sir.
Hey, thank you.
You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back. David Rose, and we're talking Thanksgiving with Omaha Steaks. I'm so excited. Tell me about what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, first of all, for having me, Neil. And Thanksgiving is one of my favorite times of the year. And Omaha Steaks has everything you need, from the turkey to the ham to the roast to the steak to the burgers to the caramel apple tartlets, everything you need to make your job easier in the kitchen and more enjoyable.
Absolutely. So, and the challenges of cooking Thanksgiving, what tips do you offer us to make it a better experience than the craziness?
Definitely. Yeah. 100%. So being a chef, it's all about organization. A clean, organized kitchen is an efficient, delicious kitchen. So what I like doing is I like having my food prep schedule done ahead of time. So what that means is I'm thawing my turkey, 3-4 days in advance. I'm planning the marination times, cooking process. And what I do heavily suggest is making a lot of those desserts ahead of time. For me, I love a good cheesecake, making the cheesecake, the bread pudding, all that delicious stuff ahead of time. Your sides as well as just simply reheating them. And day of, I plan out when I'm putting everything in the oven. So 1 o'clock turkey, 2 o'clock ham, 3 o'clock putting those rolls up. So that way when everything hits the kitchen table or the dining table, everything is hot, everything is delicious, everything is just beautiful. And number 3, you think that just because it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, you have to make everything. You do not have to make everything from scratch. Do a combination of those classic dishes you love. For me, oxtails. But let Omaha Steaks flesh out the rest of the menu, from our pre-baked desserts like the apple tartlets to our side like the garlic mashed potatoes and the au gratin potatoes as well, to the green beans. So that way you're enjoying dinner, cooking less, and enjoying the comfort and joy of your family, which you will also be doing more of during the holiday season.
Oh, 100%. It's so key to be able to do that and have that happen for sure. Let's talk about so having those extra things, it gives people more selection, right?
Yeah, a little more breathing room. And we carry everything, from meat to steaks to roasts to chopped turkeys, seafood side, literally everything you need, wine as well. We even have our own Omaha steaks wine, literally everything we have to make your job easier and flesh out the menu with a variety of endless options. So you're right.
All right. So let's dive deeper into how to prep stuff for Omaha steaks. It's pretty simple, easy, right?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the stuff are, come pre-marinated, like the turkey comes pre-brined. A lot of the desserts just kind of heat and serve or just cook. And the great thing about it is you have me as your culinary guru, so to speak, where you have the beautiful cook guide. If something is raw, that's in the box. And we have a litany, I think over 100 recipes I have myself published on Omaha Steak as well as others on the catalog. So let us take care of the heavy lifting and guide you to greatness.
Absolutely. And what are your plans for Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving, I'm actually hosting about 70 Jamaicans coming from California, New York, Georgia, and we're doing renting a hall out actually. And we're all going to kind of do the potluck thing, So I'm only doing 4 things this year, which for me is very light, but I'll be enjoying the family locally here in Georgia.
Absolutely. And the best place people can go and find things on Omaha Steaks is where to order.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. You want to go ahead and visit omahasteaks.com for all your holiday needs. And I know gifting could kind of be a headache for some people. So we have an amazing special going on right now because gifting is more than the food, it's the experience. We have a festive gift package with burgers, free burgers, top sirloin, jumbo franks, pork chops, and of course, delicious caramel apple tartlet. So everything you need and more, omahasteaks.com, my friend.
Awesome. David, anything else to add today? Any more tips for us? You talked about preparing.
Yeah. When it comes to prepping, when it comes to preparing, you definitely want to ensure that you have great ingredients, great proteins as a source. So that way, if you have great proteins, great product, the finished product will be delicious. So I'd be remiss in not mentioning that Omaha Steaks, our filet mignon, has earned the prestigious USDA certified tender designation. Now, that honor is especially reserved for tender beef cuts. So if you're looking for a beautiful cut of meat, look no further than steaks to kind of flesh out that table, where we have the ribeyes, New York strips, sirloins, T-bones, porterhouses, all of that, to spread even more holiday magic this coming year.
Awesome. Best place people can go is where?
omahasteaks.com. Make it happen.
And catch up with you on social media?
Yes, you can follow me on Chef David Rose on Instagram, on TikTok. Need to be more active on there. Twitter, and also the website, chefdavidrose.com.
You go ahead and show that and you go live on TikTok while you're doing all this. That would be perfect for you. All right. Appreciate it.
I just might do that.
Chef David, take care. All right. You're welcome. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Triple G podcast with our host, Greg Sharp. Greg, I love the Triple G name, and I didn't get it at first when you told me that. That must be that Ivy League education of yours.
Ivy League or smaller, dimmest light on the Christmas tree league. I don't know, but Triple G to me has always been the easiest way to let people know how to spell my name. So it's kind of a win for me, right?
Yeah, and we just released this partnership, and it's so exciting. Again, how Media Giant Productions is going to be bringing in podcasting, movies, TV shows as well, and we have other news coming further. But the power of podcasting, I think it's perfect for a video platform, especially ones when people are tired of what to choose from on television, especially streaming TV. It just gives much more options with podcasting.
I agree. I think that I honestly think that podcasting has replaced terrestrial radio in many senses, and certainly newscasting for TV is its next bullseye. It's probably going after. But if you really digest where podcasting is, in my opinion, a lot of people take podcasts on the road with them in their cars, their trucks. It's the next correct step for us with Radiate. to be able to partner with you and with Giant Media Productions, to be able to start bringing in an element that is 24/7 to the user, right? You know, a lot of people come to platforms to watch a specific movie. Radiate now becomes a platform that people will go to at any point in the day, maybe not just to watch a movie, but, you know, hopefully to watch a series of podcasts and to stay in touch with what's going on in the world through opinion generated shows.
They talked about the power of the creator, Greg, and that's the thing is you have to become a creator these days. It's not just, okay, I have a business, okay, I have certain things. It's about becoming a creator that creates content so that people know who you are, because the know, like, and trust value is such an important thing nowadays.
Well, and the other thing is across the board, you know, when you look at small business, you look at entrepreneurship, you know, people are no longer brick and mortar. They're global entities. You can be a mom and pop provider in San Diego, or you can be a mom and pop provider in Ypsilanti, Michigan, right? If you've got a product that can reach, you know, the global market and you can do that in a consistent manner, you can be extremely successful. And I think podcasting and content creating is that driver, right? I mean, you know, Amazon has proven that you could ship anything, anywhere, at any time, and probably have it within 4 or 5 hours in many cases. You know, but with podcasting and be able to get the information out, being able to get, you know, your I don't want to say content, but even just your opinions or your perceptions out to people that will be like-minded and align with you, will create that continual viewer, that continual fan, really blow up what you're doing or grow what you're doing to a point where it's very lucrative. I mean, podcasting is really the next generation of marketing.
It absolutely is, and that's the exciting thing about it. And I think as podcasting, and it's very interesting, we see the top-ranked podcasts. It's all about a conversation and providing value. I think that the problem is with television and the quick sound bites, or radio where you have to have the sound bite in 6 minutes. That's just not enough time for people that really want to dive deeper into a conversation. When they're following somebody or they love a creator, they're going to stay on a lot longer period of time. That's why podcasting is such a powerful entity.
You know, it's interesting, and I don't know what kind of correlation it is, but, you know, back in the 70s and the 80s, you know, the power of conversation always happened in the home, right? Normally around the dinner table, maybe after dinner. Today, the power of conversation happens at 10 a.m. It happens at 1 p.m. And it's not necessarily an intercommunication between you and someone. A lot of times it's two people that are in a distance that are communicating that you just find insightful or educational. And that in many ways even takes place, or takes and replaces, if you will, that sort of medium that we grew up in, you and I, right? I mean, you know, I can go out and hear a conversation of two people and take something away and be a part of the comments, be a part of the interaction of it at some value, follow them on social media. And it's really the modern day dinner table, right? I mean, that's where I see podcasting.
Absolutely. All right. So other news, you're a couple weeks off of a World Series of Arm Wrestling, but you're ready for the next season.
We're going to be announcing our first stop here very shortly. It'll be in February, and then we're going to roll out the schedule. We're also going to roll out a new concept of super matches this year, which I think is going to be unique for us. We finally, after 4 seasons, I think have built a pool of participants where we can have a championship series that can go on in between regionals. And we actually have some exciting news coming out on 2 shows that we're in development on. One is Texas Roofing Wars. I'm out to Dallas this week to finish up those agreements that we'll start production on. And then we have signed Michael Jai White, who is a very well-known actor. It's a detachment for an upcoming show that we're developing called The Next Celebrity Bodyguard. So as we continue to grow that and put that product in place, we'll have more to talk about for sure.
And you talk about that in your production. So you're not just talking, you know, what's happened World Series of Arm Wrestling, Radiate TV, and then you look at specifically, lastly, you know, Ready, Set, Go distribution, and you have all these different entities that are providing creators. I did have Michael on my show years ago on a radio show when I was doing a radio tour. So I'm sure as I you kind of remind me about it. I forget what movie he was promoting or whatever, but that's a great opportunity because people see him and they know who he is. And I love the storyline of what you want to do with that show. That's going to be an interesting show.
Well, the other thing I think what it does for us, Neil, is, everybody in the world of entertainment grows, right? And I think the credibility of any production company is who you can attract and attach to. So we've been fortunate enough now in the last 6 to 12 months that our reputation has grown in the ability to produce good content and deliver on time. And we actually have getting the interest of being A-list actors now who want to attach themselves to projects we're doing. So it's really an exciting time for us across the board with G2F Media.
All right, so we talked about World Series of Arm Wrestling. I can't wait. And then you mentioned about that. What other things are happening? Let's talk about with some of your productions you're doing right now.
Post-production on season 4. Season 3, we will be on the streams in terms of Tubi and Prime for WSA here within the next 2 months. We've kind of given enough time to be on ESPN, so now we can drop the full shows on our other platforms. The House is in post-production, so that's getting to the point of first edits to be able to see what we have. I'm pretty excited about that show. We're wrapping up another show called The Biohacker MD, which I just met with one of the clients today. It's been a work in progress, and I think they're ready to finalize that. We certainly are. We want to bring that information to the viewers. It's really a cool show talking about life hacks and quality of life and quantity of life, how to get the most out of it. And, we've got a slate of new shows we're reviewing after AFM this past weekend of ideas that have come past us. So I don't think we're any short of great content to continue to develop. We're probably as flush, if you will, as we've ever been. So exciting times for us. I think we've got some really, really quality stuff that will set us aside very soon and really put Radiate on a bigger part of the map than it has been.
Yes, and that's where Radiate and your Ready, Set, Go Productions works out perfectly, and how you're kind of working together in that process of creating content and then distributing that content.
It's a good marriage. It's definitely a good marriage. They both work well together.
Absolutely. All right. So any other news to report? And then we're going to be off next Thanksgiving week, and then launching December with some guests. And I know you've got a lot of exciting guests to come on the Triple G podcast. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. I've got my thinking cap on for that. I want to create a podcast that's not run of the mill. Certainly we want to talk about interesting topics, but I think we want to kind of get behind the eyeballs of some guests and find out what they're thinking about, just topics in general and how they move in the industry to get to where they've been. So I think those are fun topics that kind of hopefully have some great stories and keep the end viewer and listener attached to us.
You being in California, are you seeing specifically enough finally productions are starting to get back really rolling again? And are you seeing content being,
I think today, I think the time frame around today through the holidays is always one of quietness. Most of the studios are quiet through the holidays. It's kind of traditional. Not a lot of major productions go on. Reasons for that: travel, availability. Even within the studios, a lot of people take time off. So I don't see a lot of what I'll call unionized SAG-AFTRA productions going on right now, but I do see a lot of independent films, and I think that independent value is the driver right now. Studios are going to get your A-listers in there. They're going to get paid big dollars. They're going to get to the screens fast. But I think the independents are still driving the market, even though we're out of COVID. I think those who are doing that $1 to $5 to maybe $8 million production with those A-listers that haven't been as active and are able to get them into these projects at a reasonable cost, I think that's driving the market these days. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big shift 2026 first quarter that maybe more independents find their way to the movie screens. I think that may be coming quicker than we even anticipate.
And you can do that with Greg. So make sure you contact him in that way. Any other news to report? I'm just excited about this partnership, more podcasts to come, more news to come, and guests to come.
Well, I didn't win the mega jackpot. I think it was one out by you out on the East Coast. Somebody pulled in a cool $965 million last week. Wasn't us, but that's okay. I know the staff wanted to go to Disneyland for Christmas, so instead we're going to go to Legoland. It's a smaller place, but still, it's an adventure park. So, but no, I don't. I think we're just staying the course, right? Small steps, one at a time. This partnership between us and Giant Media and your end, I think that's a fairly good size step for both of us, and we're just excited. We want to now build that foundation, so that way we can continue to build more reputable shows behind your lead, and ultimately drive more viewers to Radiate, and that's the win.
All right. So, and Greg, the best place people can catch up with you is all social media platforms. Let's just go talk about your social media. Everyone else will find Radiate and all the other places.
Greg XFS, at Greg G XFS. Easiest way to find me. And then, as you said, I'm always posting on Radiate World Series RSG. So, just have to watch the stories, click the link, and follow.
All right. Thanks again, Greg. Appreciate it. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show on the Triple G podcast, guys. We're going to roll Doc Allen Lindeman. Doc, what's going on, man? How are you?
We are doing really well here, Neil, and you?
Fantastic. And today's topic is epilepsy in pregnancy. What is epilepsy?
Well, it's seizures that don't have a known or identified cause. And most often it's, about half the time it's genetic, but the other half of the time it's completely unknown.
What are the main dangers of epilepsy for a pregnant woman?
Falling, head injury, choking, and a prolonged seizure can be life-threatening due to a decreased oxygen for baby.
What are the risks in pregnancy for women with epilepsy?
Well, they have increased risk of preeclampsia, more need for intensive care, and a higher maternal mortality rate.
What anti-epileptic drugs are considered safest during pregnancy?
Lamictal, that's the brand name. The generic is lamotrigine, and Keppra, and that again is the brand name, and it is the levetiracetam is the generic, and you can see why they called it Keppra. These are supposedly the safest options during pregnancy, and these two medications do not seem to increase the risk of physical birth abnormalities when compared to the general population.
Is it safer to stop anti-seizure medicines before or during pregnancy?
Absolutely not. It is not a good idea to stop medications. Now, there would be an exception. If you're on the ones that are dangerous, it would be much better to stop them and begin Lamictal and Keppra. But otherwise, do not stop your medications unless you are starting some new medications.
How can untreated epilepsy affect my baby during pregnancy?
Well, it can cause a slow heart rate with reduced oxygen supply, fetal distress, stillbirths, and preterm birth, low birth weight, and even placental abruption.
Which anti-epileptic drugs are unsafe or highly risky in pregnancy?
The brand name is Depakote, and the generic is Valproate. That is associated with the highest risk in pregnancy, and up to 40% of those babies have neurodevelopmental disabilities.
Which medications should especially be avoided during the first trimester?
Well, Depakote, and that's also to be avoided in the third trimester because of the risks of